Hi guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome to the second day of the IAE. Today is RSI Day, and as you can see behind me, they finally got a use for the holographic display, and I think that's actually pretty cool. I would say they have definitely improved since Invictus, but yeah, no, it's very nice. Very, very nice. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, of course, RSI being the OG crew of Star Citizen. In terms of lore, they are basically one of the first companies to go into space to utilize their quantum drive technology. But ever since then have been kind of, they haven't really been doing a huge amount of stuff, but they have, they've been contributing to the fleets, various fleets, where in their own ways, both in military and in civilian. But in terms of gameplay-wise, the RSI has been one of the OG companies that have provided the first big ships. Of course, this being the Connie class, of course. As you can see, all of the different Connies. Now, with the Taurus, which we will be having a look at. But as you can see, we're not a huge day today. It's primarily just one to two rooms. I tend to never count this room. Like, it's technically a room, but I always consider these rooms like the thing, and then the one below is the other one. So, again, not a huge amount of change today, but that's fine. It means that, the video isn't as long, which is always a benefit. So we're going to roll around, oh god, I missed... Oh, okay. Okay, I misidentified the Taurus. To be fair, the Taurus is... Yeah. Okay. Wait, that's the Taurus? I thought the Taurus had the, domed, yeah. Because the... Okay, I'm not gonna lie. My knowledge on the Taurus is pretty poor, but I thought the Taurus had the, bubble, like, front glass. Because the front, like, pike nose. Constellation Phoenix. Okay. Oh, so they have the shit edition of the front, which I'm a little disappointed in. To be fair, this is actually the first time I've ever seen a Taurus in-game. I never got the particular ship, because I kind of felt like it's just another transport ship. But again, we'll get to more personal opinions later down below. So, we're going to basically go around this particular room first, then we're going to have a look at the Taurus. We've already been through all of the other ships, so obviously we know what's going on with that. If you haven't seen the first day, I highly recommend you go watch it. I have provided a link down below for you to enjoy. But obviously, we will be getting started. So, without further ado, let's get going. And so we enter into the second room. Or the first, depending on how you view it. But yes, we are in the second room, and we are completely surrounded by Auroras. And the Mantis in the center, which we will get into a little bit later on. So the vessel we're looking at the moment is the Aurora MR. Now, for those who don't play Star Citizen, this is one of the cheaper, or if not, I think the cheapest, to my knowledge, startup ship you can get in the game. So basically, when you start the game, well, I say cheapest, I'll hyphen that. When you buy a game package, this is tied with another vessel known as the Mustang Delta, I believe, and or Alpha. I think it is Delta. And basically, this provides you a different alternative choice when it comes to ships that are fairly cheap to start with. It is an okay ship. This was a ship that I owned. This was actually a ship that I was given when I was first introduced into Star Citizen, and we will have a little bit of a whoopsie. So all of the other vessels around are just different variants of the Aurora series, but this is the one that you will get if you decide to get into the game with a cheap price. So this is, of course, I probably should just hit that button rather than anything else. So it's not a very, not a very big ship. It's actually quite small. It does, however, have one unique advantage over the Mustang. I would say two-ish. The first is you have the ability to have a bed. Now, in Star Citizen at the moment, having a bed is kind of a neat but not super useful thing. It kind of is dependent on I don't know. It's, to be fair, I think as physicalization of material and everything else becomes more of a thing, I think once we get more persistence factor in, where you know, wherever you go to bed, you will wake up at. I think, is probably when this ship becomes a little bit more useful in my eye. But basically, the ability to have a bed for those who don't play means that wherever you fall asleep, you can log out and your character will remain in that location. So if, for example, you found a nice little cave, you're not really, you're heading off to work or whatever, and you think, crap, I don't have enough time to get back to base. Ah, look, this is a nice little cave. I park my ship, put my, get my character to lie down into bed, and then you can log off and come back into the game once you are finished. Obviously, you even have a nice little bit of a view on the side windows, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, all in all, a really nice... Oh, and I have been booted out of the ship. No. Wah. Wolf. Right, note to self, don't do that. Anyway, so, apart from the bed... You have a pretty decent, to be fair, it's actually quite a nice ejecting bed. If we're ever in an emergency, the thing just shoots you out like a poop scoop. So the other thing you can have, of course, is the pilot seat. Now, as you can see, it is fairly basic. There are only a few things you have, but it does have a very good MFD display. It also gives you the ability to see where you're landing. It doesn't give you as much parallel vision as the Mustang. That's where the Mustang does have an advantage. But the Mustang does lack a bed, and it is more bred as a fighter, whereas this ship is more a kind of personalized transport slash baby's first ship. It's not a bad ship. It's limited in what it can do, and I feel that as the basic bitch starter, the Pisces is most definitely a better choice for the new Star Citizen player, if they want to get it on the cheap. But unfortunately, I think at the moment, this is the only thing you can get within a reasonable price range. Because the game itself is like, I think, probably like 30-ish quid or something like that, or 35. This is just pure speculation on my part. I don't actually know what the price is, but this particular package, I think, costs in the region of £40 or whatever currency you have. So it's like either $40 or $50. I think more or less the same in euros. They're like 40-ish, 44, 45 euros or something along those lines. So it's, it's the cheapest package you can get in. And if you only invest that, you can pretty much start the game and enjoy, Star Citizen without even having to spend an additional penny. But as a ship to sort of get you started in the verse, I would say there are obviously better choices in that particular margin, but that's not to knock the Aurora. It's just a it's just the limitations of what this ship can be. You can do some potential cargo-ness, but when it comes to like doing box missions or whatever, you're going to be struggling unless you can. I mean, maybe the placer thing now. Actually, to be fair, you might be okay if you get the tractor beam attachment for the or mining, like the utilitarian tool. You might be okay with that, but that would require some extra game knowledge, which I don't think new players would be as beneficent to have. Anyway, of course, this isn't the only edition of the Aurora. There are other editions, and I will quickly go through with them with you guys. So this is the Aurora Lx, which is the fancy schmancy edition, and as you can see, you can see that there is an additional amount of stuff there. There's more weapons. The display looks a bit snazzier. There looks to be a slightly better seat for you. There's probably a pillow in the bed, so it's designed to be a higher quality edition of the Aurora. Not that you can do a lot. RSI kind of understand what luxury is. They do have the Phoenix after all. In the Constellation class series, but they're not Origin, so they don't want to make you feel like you're some kind of douchebag. So there you go. There's like a snazzier edition of the Aurora series. Of course, as with all things RSI, or in most companies, you also do have the military edition. This particular edition of the ship, known as the LN, is the one with more DACA. You've got more las repeaters on the top and the bottom. You've also have some size 1 missiles as well. All of these particular attachments are all size 1. You can, of course, attach the weapons onto the MR. As you can see, there is a weapon slot available. And I think also you might be able to attach missiles potentially. I think I see, yeah, there are some missiles up there. kind of hard to see from the ground, but you can see up there where my mouse pointer is, there are in fact some missiles up there. So the Aurora MR is very customizable, but obviously the different editions kind of gives you a different starter, or basically a different stock package from the start. I don't really know too much about the internal components about each one, but one would assume that the different editions also house some of the different bits and bobs. So heading over to the other side, this is the Aurora CL, which is the Clipper edition. Basically, this is the more dedicated for freight transport. So this might have like a bigger cargo capacity underneath. Fun fact, for years, I did not know this was here. I honestly thought it was just the funky design nature of the ship. But in actual fact, no, that's where supposedly the cargo is attached with maglocks. So there you go. This particular vessel, if it is functional, which it might be, I've never really tested this out to be fair. If it is functional, there is your basic bitch starter attempt to make your Aurora a transporter of cargo. But again, it's limited to only that area, which I think you have to specify. You know, you can't, like, for example, pick up a box and put it in. It's not like, for example, the Avenger Titan. And to round off the list, we have the basic bitch of basic bitch. This is the Aurora ES, and it is very, very cheap. This is the cheapest you can go with the Aurora series. So even still, it's not really got any colors. The cargo capacity is very limited. Well, it's the same as, I think it's the same as others, like the other editions, but everything is cheap. The chair is cheap. Probably the sticks are cheap. The weapons are cheap. It looks like to be size 1. I wouldn't say cannons. I would just say more like tarantula repeaters. But yeah, this is the basic bitch edition, which is not really going to be useful for much. There's no missiles or anything. I don't think so. No. Oh no, that's like tiny, whatever the fuck those are. I want to call them toothpicks because of how small they are. So again, not really impressive, but it is the basic bitch edition if you want to have the cheapest Aurora that possible. But again, you know, it's the Aurora series. There's not really, it's the Aurora series. You've seen, they have many different variants, and they do a great job in maybe introducing Star Citizen to some newer players, but I also kind of feel that they are a platform that they are the better of the two choices. If you compare the two, like, I think if you had to like pick between the Aurora and the Mustang, I would always pick the Aurora. You know, that freight capacity and the ability to sleep in them is very, very good. It's 10 times more important in my eye than having the combat capacity of the Mustang, but that's just my opinion. So, bit of a quickie, going over to the Mantis. Now, the Mantis, for those who don't know, is a quantum interdictor ship. And what this particular ship is designed for is to basically interrupt people whilst they're quantuming from place to place with a device known as a QED, or Quantum Enforcement Displacer, or something along those lines. I can't quite remember the name. I used to remember it quite a bit. Quantum enforcement device, maybe? That's the word I'm thinking. I might be wrong. To be fair, this is one of those glorified ships which unfortunately doesn't really quite yet have a use, but it's almost there. It's almost there. So if we activate this thing, and I'll see if I can activate the device in particular so you can turn it on. There we go. So the way that this particular ship works is you go into a well-traveled quantum travel lane. You turn on the QED, which then opens up this device, and then this device begins to spin rapidly around, creating a spherical orb, charging it up with more and more power. And once the device is ready, it releases it like an EMP pulse, which, dependent on what ships are currently utilizing the travel lane, will be caught and ensnared by this QED device, resulting in them being ejected out of quantum and unable. I don't know if there's like a disabling effect of like it disables the ability for you to go back into quantum for a time, but obviously you'll have to relock the target to your quantum area, and you'd have to prepare up all the other stuff in order to get to the other locations. So obviously the QED is quite the... it's quite the awesome device, but the Mantis itself is kind of... This is kind of a one-trick pony. Because once the QED device does go off, you are left in a bit of a vulnerable state, because it does use quite a bit of power. And unfortunately, once you have done that, and you have, obviously, let's say you're not the most legal of types of people utilizing this, you'll immediately get a back crime stat for doing it if it's in a zone where there is a comm tower relay. You'll immediately be pursued by, you'll immediately be in a vulnerable state because you haven't really got much power. So your shields are going to be shit, your weapons are going to be shit, because again, laser weapons, and your abilities to maneuver are also going to be shit as well. So you're going to be very vulnerable. And then, on top of that, you'll have a very pissed off player who obviously doesn't want to just, sit there and be potentially shot at or removed by pirates. He will probably try and defend himself or try and get away. And as such, he will probably attempt to kill you, and the government will thank him for it, and he'll get like a nice bit of a nice fat profit if the government already doesn't sense this and send someone to deal with you as a result. Even though before you activate your QED device, your ship isn't that maneuverable. It's a bit of a fat bitch. Despite all the looks of being an agile fighter, this thing is not an agile fighter. This thing is a big mama, and she takes her time going left to right. And her armament isn't that impressive either. I think she's got, like, a couple of size 2s, and well, maybe a couple of size 2s to size 3s. I think there are some missiles. Yeah, 4 missiles, and that's about it. Maybe that's a weapon. It's possibly a weapon. Yeah, they look like weapons. But again, they're not. It's not really designed to be. It's not really designed to be a combat ship. It's more designed as a utility to basically use the QED, and then you have your friends do the job. The actual work, which is fair. But this ship does come with a few amenities. It does have a restroom, as you saw for the brief second. There we go. Open this up a bit. So there is a restroom. There isn't a shower though, sadly. There isn't really any cargo space. You've got component rooms, you've got a bed, there's like some limited survivability things. This ship isn't really designed to be anything less than just a simple transportation or simple utilization vehicle. So it's not that impressive. In my books, I think it's one of those glorified, it's one of those things that ships that hasn't really got a use yet. And when the game does eventually put back into the when CIG do eventually put quantum interdiction back into the game, really go into it. I mean, because they did do it before. For a while, we did have quite a fair amount of quantum interdiction, mostly though through pirates trying to interdict you, or various law-abiding crafts trying to check your, to scan you or to do whatever. It was quite rampant back in like 2018, 2019. But then going into 2020, I think they toned it down because the player base was getting a bit fed up, constantly being interdicted by random ships. So it's been a while since I've been interdicted, so maybe that's for the best for the time being, because again, there isn't really a dedicated trading route. There's not really dedicated quantum lanes, which would make sense for this thing to use. But when the ship first came out, oh boy, the community were up in arms. They were terrified that this ship would be considered a sort of troll's best wet dream, constantly being able to interdict. But the problem was, at the time, which still is applicable now, there's no real way to track people when, they're using the quantum lanes. So maybe it's, it's doable, but it would have to be staged in order for it to work, is all I'm saying. So, again, it's a good ship. I think once it has more of a use, and quantum interdiction may become more of a present danger in the verse, it will be definitely something to keep an eye out for. But for the time being, it's just there. Nothing overly fancy, but nothing, nothing overly fancy, but not too bad regardless. I love this music. Awesome. So we're in the central plaza now, and as you can see, we're surrounded by all of the Constellation classes of ships. So for those who don't play Star Citizen, the Constellation class has a bit of an OG history when it comes to Star Citizen, as in terms of gameplay and IRL, this was one of the first big ships to be advertised, and that was actually visible in-game. There were a lot of big ships that were toted, but a lot of them were in concept. However, back in like 2011, 2012, this was one of the few ships that was huge, and you could like see the internal cockpits and other designs, and it was one of the more original basic of CIG. Well, I say original basic. You know, the original large ship design. This was their first real foray going into the larger ship design aspect. And the Connie class has seen, to be fair, the Connie class was kind of, obviously when the game came out, the Connie class was there. It has seen a fair amount of use. For a long time, it was kind of one of just the glorified transporter of, like, its uses weren't that great. Apart from maybe the Constellation, Andromeda, which is I think the standard edition of the ship, or the more military, it's like military / standard. It's got a shit ton of missiles, like holy shit. It's one of the unique facets is that it can spam missiles. It also can carry, it has its own particular cargo bay, which has the ability to carry Aurora Ursa. The Aquila can do that as well, but the Aquila does not have a second turret. This ship does have a second turret. It has like 2 turrets that are mounted on the upper section near the bridge. And of course, it does have quite a heavy level of firepower without even having to utilize missiles. And of course, now, with the introduction of docking, it has the ability to carry a snub parasite fighter known as the P-52 on the standard vessel, which has a couple of size 1 las repeaters and a size 2 Gatling gun. And on the Phoenix edition, it's got the P-72 Archimedes, which loses one of the Gatling guns on the top frontal nose and instead replaces it with an additional 2 size 1 weapons mounted. So it's not a bad ship in my particular opinion. I'm not a huge fan of it, or I kind of half mock it, because it is one of probably the easiest big ships to knock out. Shocking! So the main reason why I say it's a particularly easy ship to knock out is, if you haven't seen the glaring weakness in this design frame, it's the engines. If you can get behind this ship, and you can get some solid shots against, or if you can get to a point where you have to constantly make the fucking move, it's a big ship, it ain't that maneuverable. It's not bad, but it's still struggling a bit. It is very easy to nuke, primarily because you can not only kill its ability to move, but also its ability to defend itself. And I love killing these things. These things are hilarious when you see them get blown up, because eventually once they lose all of their engines, they're just a floating debris wreck about to happen. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these particular... I mean, I'm not against these ships. I don't hate these ships. I just don't consider them to be that much of a useful big ship. But anyway, enough of my personal opinions for the moment. We are going to be looking at this ship, the most recent addition to the Connie fleet. So the Connie fleet at this point has now the ability to be a bog standard large ship, a exploration vessel, a glorified transport for arseholes, and now a cargo transporting vessel. Though unfortunately I feel that the ship's use in this regard, like, we've already got a shitload of transportation vessels. So this ship, I feel, has come a little bit too late to really get in on the whole exploration side. But let's have a look regardless. This is my first time looking at this vessel, so we will have a bit of a look going in. So from what I can tell, this particular ship has pretty much the same as the Connie... Yeah, it has the same amount of turrets as the Connie Andromeda. It's got the same seats. One thing I'm not a huge fan of is the piked nose. I call this the piked nose, a bit like similar to an IS-3. The Connie Aquila has probably the best, in my opinion, best cockpit window. Because instead of having the piked nose, which has these horrible struts at the front of the ship, you don't have that. You would just have a very smooth, rounded line, which in my opinion is vastly superior in terms of looks. I mean, the as you can see, the ship, this thing turns around. In fact, I'll just get into it so you can actually see. So when you get into the pilot seat, you turn around, thing goes slightly forward. Actually, it doesn't even go slightly forwards. It just goes into that. And this is the view that you get from the Connie. A bit shit, in my opinion. You don't really get that much of a visual. Again, these two struts are blocking your view. And it's tedious. In my opinion, this is my least favorite part of the Connie. Yes, you've got side views, but really, that's the biggest thing you want, is a frontal view, because you're mostly focusing on this. You're mostly focusing on this part of the ship when you're flying. So to have a majority of it being blocked off by struts, in my opinion, is a really bad design. I don't like that design, which is why I never really wanted to have one of these ships. Again, I really wish, I hope in the future, actually, you can change the design of the front of your ship, in a sense. So basically, instead of having these ugly struts at the front of your ship when it comes to the glass, you instead can basically swap these out for the Aquila's frontal glass design, because I think that's the superior version of the Constellation class. Why I like it a lot. So, as far as I can tell, it's the same design frame as before. Ah, shit shower with no toilet. We've got the table. You've got some other shit as well. Normal crew. And here is the cargo bay. So, the cargo bay inside... Let's just close this up, maybe... Okay, yeah, so it's a bit... Oh, well, we're taking this civilian with us. Okay, we're taking a few people with us. We've got a good haul. So this is the biggest... This is the new strength of the Connie Taurus. This particular vessel has 174 FCUs worth of cargo in comparison to the Connie Andromeda 96, giving us a 78 SCU cargo advantage over the Connie Andromeda. So, and I won't lie, that's a pretty decent amount of cargo. I probably won't go into, at the moment, the differences in terms of cargo transportation, because I haven't researched all of the other vessels yet, so I don't want to give an inaccurate opinion. We do seem to have quite a fair amount of size 1 missiles. Well, these are size 2. I want to say size 1, because these are very small. I want to say size 1. So yeah, fuck tons of size 1 missiles, it would seem. So it looks like the Connie Taurus does have some teeth given to her, which is good. It's nice to see that this transport vessel does have some teeth. So you could probably transport... I want to say you could easily fit 2 Ursa rovers in here. Maybe 2 Ursa rovers and a couple of dragonflies is probably the big thing. Of course, when the Rangers come out, which I'm really desperate for. I can't wait till we get the Ranger bikes. I've bought the Ranger bikes. I want my Ranger bike. Yeah, so this is pretty much the big thing with this vessel. Just basically an elongated transport vessel and a cargo vessel. And of course, when you go into the back, you're into an airlock, which then opens up into another room. Oh, it doesn't have it. It does not have it. Oh, you lose the snub fighter. You don't have a snub fighter. The Taurus does not have a snub fighter. Don't know why I didn't notice that before, but there we are. We have snubbed the snub fighter. I should have really... there we go. Ooh, frames. It's one of the wonders of playing this game with not the most amazing rigs. My rig's good, but she ain't that great. Oh shit, yeah, no. So there's no snub fighter for this particular vessel. Oh dear. Well, I don't know, there's a mounting point for it, so maybe there's like a docking. Maybe there is a docking collar, but it doesn't look like the ship comes with a snub fighter. That's kind of impressive. So, what? This has the ability to receive a snub fighter, but it doesn't come with a snub fighter. Maybe this is a glitch, maybe this is the design, I don't know. I mean, there is a docking room inside, so it's possible that it just doesn't come with it, and that if you have a friend who does have a snub fighter, you could be like, yo, I'm going to go for a cargo run around Pyro, do you mind if you can give me your fighter for a bit? And he's like, sure. And so he docks in, and it should work out like that. That's probably my thought process, but for the time being, I'm going to going to have the opinion that this ship doesn't naturally come with a snub fighter, which is kind of intriguing. The engine design is also kind of cool, on the lower half at least. And it looks like it has the similar armaments to the Constellation Andromeda. So, not bad. Not bad. But again, I kind of feel that this vessel looks really good, and I think, like, I mean, this vessel looks good, and it does it, you know, and it'll do its job nicely. And if someone does want to make a cargo transporter out of the Connie, if they really like the Connie class, then this is a solid choice. I can't argue with that. But I kind of feel like the Connie Taurus is a ship that's at least a year too late. Maybe 2 years too late, to be fair. Because with all of the different ground, transportation vessels, you've got the Freelancer Max, you've got the Hercules, you've got the Caterpillar, you've got what else have you got? I know that there's other ships we've got in the fleet that we can also use as transportation for cargo. My brain is racking it around. So I've got the Freelancer Max, you've got the Caterpillar, Hercules. Like, don't forget, M2 and C2. M2 is a little bit less cargo SCU, but it still has quite a fair amount of a cargo SCU. The C2 as well. I suppose we should probably limit ourselves to medium-large vessels. So you've got the Freelancer Max, you've got the... I want to say Caterpillar because that's also within the price range. You've also got... oh, there's a third fucking ship. I feel like there's a third ship in there. I can't think right now. I'm genuinely trying to rack my brain around this. Fucking brain. Come on. There's another... I know there's another ship. I genuinely remember that there was another ship which basically did the same job as this, has been in the game for a while, and I just cannot, for the life of me, think of what ship that was. I'm trying to remember what company it was. Was it Aegis? Might have been Aegis. Or was it... Well, no, yeah, because we've got the Argo Rafts also coming in, which is also a glorified transport, but it might be better. Regardless, I kind of feel that this ship is... The general point I'm trying to get around after rambling and thinking too long is that this particular ship is nothing special. It does the job, it does what it needs to do, but it's not being introduced at a point where being a cargo transport is a big special fancy thing. Only when ships like the Hull series, when they become available, do I think cargo transportation may become a bit more of a thing, a bit more of a snazzy thing to do. So, yeah, no, I think this ship looks okay, it does the job, but that's literally all it is. It does the job. It fulfills the average role. Which, I'm sorry if any of you Connie flyers out there like this ship a lot. This is no disrespect to the Connie line. I just feel that the Connie Taurus is a ship that has been... It's arrived a bit too late for the glamorization of cargo transportation to take effect. And it's there now. It's another ship. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. Going down south, we go into the last room before finishing up the video to see the ground vehicles. This, of course, is the RSI's loadout, and this also is the RSI Ursa. This previously used to be the only ground transportation for infantry, and now it's not. Though I don't believe it's been completely made redundant, because obviously it is a smaller vessel. It's probably more maneuverable. So I will say it still has a use. Some clans may prefer a hit-and-run style factor to it, whereas this vessel definitely can accomplish that. And of course, there's loads of people out there with experience with this particular vessel versus the Spartan, Anvil Spartan, which of course is a very much new kid on the block. So we've yet to see some real tactics with that. But no, the Ursa Rover is a pretty decent little ground transport, and I think we're definitely going to see some nice usage out of that. So let's have a look on the other side. So that one is the... Yeah, that's just a closed up a bit. Yeah, that's just more of the same. Yeah, just more of the same. So, let's go over to the holodecks with possibly the most anticipated ship in my particular eyeballs that RSI is going to be releasing. I am, of course, talking about the Scorpius. Oh, there's 2 of them. Nice. So the Scorpius is a new ship that was announced. It's a 2-man ship with the ability of a unique turret defense system, as you can see up here. What the concept of this particular ship that's going to be unique is cool about it is the fact that it has a turret system which not only shoots targets to the front, but also then can go backwards into the rear of the ship to become a self-defense turret on that particular part. But of course, it's not just because of the ship having a unique turret design that I'm ecstatic because it's a fucking X-Wing. I mean, it's an X-Wing. It's a goddamn X-Wing. Look, it's an X-Wing, and I love it because of that. And every time people talked about this thing when they announced it, it was like, oh, the unique design nature of this vessel makes it quite a capable combat craft, and the unique design of the turret means that people can utilize this in a very efficient way, and the design is very unique. At no point did they go, it's a fucking X-Wing, you morons, buy it. You know, it's an X-Wing. I'm not going to look at it in any other part. I keep saying the word X-Wing because I am a super fanboy of the X-Wing. It's like the T-70 edition of the X-Wing from the very bad film series that came after the good part of Star Wars. It's an X-Wing. I cannot stress how much of this I love. I fucking want this ship in my life. And I really am excited for this vessel. Anyway, before I have too much of an orgasm over the X-Wing, we're now going to go to the next... Fucking love this shit! Anyway, going over to the next one, we have the Star Destroyer, or the Perseus, as its official name dubbed is. It is a small but powerful gunboat with twin size 7 turrets. Holy fuck, look at the size of these things. I think I might even be wrong about the fact that they're size 7, but either way, they are ginormo. And this ship is designed to say, oi, you, away, now. It looks really nice, actually. It was announced in the Invictus, I believe, this year. So we are going to see some pretty nice ships. RSI know how to make capital class ships, and this is beautiful. I love the sleek design nature. I love the swept back bridge design and everything. It just oozes confidence. And in addition to this, I think this particular vessel has, I think, some torpedo launchers as well. Not as many as, of course, some other vessels, but it does have the means to say fuck off in a glorious fashion. And definitely on my list of ships I would like to have. But yeah, no, it looks beautiful. And I look forward to it. Very much look forward to seeing it in-game. And it's a Star Destroyer, so, you know. Baby Star Destroyer. Trying to think what period. Like either it's Clone Wars, Galactic Civil War, or New Order period, and I'm leaning a little bit more towards the New Order. The New Order tends to have their Star Destroyers in a kind of more, you know, pointed and swept back design, whereas but then again, theoretically, we had the same with the Victory Star Destroyers in the Clone Wars, like early Star Wars destroyers, not the Venator Star class, but like somewhat similar in other regards, but I'm thinking that's more New Order design. Anyway, that's me rambling off. And going over to the last ship before I go to a complete ramble, this is the Polaris, which is a corvette. Yeah, Polaris. So this vessel's been around for quite some time. Well, in concept for quite some time. I think the last time we saw this... I try to remember the first time I saw this. I think I first saw this back in 2020's Invictus, but I could be wrong. It might have been in the 2020 IAE, but yeah, she's been in concept for quite a while now. I think this particular line of big ships is now becoming more and more of a factor. But no, she looks good. She's a Corvette class ship with the capacity to do some real damage against her opponents. Obviously, depending on the future of Star Citizen, the big ships are probably very unlikely to be seen for quite some time until such things as the server meshing becomes more of a thing, and probably when the ships like Pyro become around. Because don't forget, guys, one sector of space is not really going to be big enough for the kind of shit that these corvettes and these bigger ships are going to be utilizing. Maybe mock player battles around certain things to, maybe to to make a hypothetical war be a possibility, but until we see bigger sectors in space or more sectors in space, these things will be glorified in that respect. But still, a really nice looking ship. I like it. I'm not going to probably get it. It's kind of in the realms of, it looks cool. I probably would happily, hop onto one and have a look around. Maybe even take part in some crew action by either being a marine to defend the ship or to be one of the gunners on the ship. But I don't think I would go to the point where I would own one myself. That's either the Perseus or the X-Wing that's around, because, X-Wing. So guys, there you have it. We have finished our day with RSI, so not a huge day, but knowing me, I've probably ended up making this video like 40 minutes long. So I hope you have had a lovely time, and don't forget, this event is going on from the 19th of November all the way to the early days of December. And we have plenty more days to go. So in my opinion, I would say this has so far been a kind of the meh day. RSI at the moment don't really have the hugest variety of decent ships. They do have some, but in comparison to all of the other ships in the verse, this is definitely one of the less so these particular things. But the Taurus was cool, and also seeing the X-Wing once again. Ah, the X-Wing. Drool is coming out of my mouth right now, but fucking I need the X-Wing badly in my life. Yes, please let me have that X-Wing. Please. I love you long time. Anyway, so that will be it from me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to catch you tomorrow, where we get to see more ships, more awesome stuff, and you get to hear my opinion, which is so cool, clearly. We're going to be able to see all of the awesome stuff in the following episode. If you want to see the first one, link down below in the description. And whatever you thought of this thing, let me know as well. Do you like the IAE event? Do you think that the IAE event is one of those ones that makes you come into the game once in a while, or do you feel that it's just a glorified show to glamorize ships that just don't quite have a use for you? But oh well. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one, guys. This is Mr. Jaeger signing out.